everybody, welcome to episode 2 of our googly hangouty chatty type thing that we've called Cherry Plus because it's Cherry Plus some other folk. And today we are looking at when is the right time to have a baby. Is there even an answer to that question? But we're going to have a bash because we love to debate and chat. So today with me we have some wonderful people. We have the ever lovely, the fragrant Reem, who is our stylist and fashion blogger. She's going to be doing sort of a tricky fashion maths today. The monochrome trend with our horizontal stripes, quite tricky if you are pregnant. But Reem is going to tell us how to make it beautiful, how to work it with a bump.
I'm going to try.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, I'm excited. We also have with us the amazing Dr Pixie McKenna from shows that we all know and love, like Embarrassing Bodies, Embarrassing Illnesses. Thank you for coming in.
You're welcome.
If you've got any questions for Pixie, do tweet us now at #CherryPlus, and we will be answering them later on. We'll try to get as many done. If you're watching this downloaded, don't tweet us because it's obviously in the past and that's just going to be confusing for everybody. Also with us in the boxes are a lovely couple called Humphrey and Emma. Hello, Humphrey. Hello, Emma. Can you hear me? No, but we'll bosh on anyway. So Emma and Humphrey have 2 wonderful twins, and they also have a 2-year-old, and we're going to be talking to them about what it's like to have children early. They're 22 and they've already got 3 children. It's clammy. So we're going to ask them what that's like. And our wonderful voice of the people is also joining us, the beautiful Jennifer Howze, founder of BritMums, a fabulous online forum for parents. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Cherry. It's great to be here.
Really looking forward to seeing what you've got to say. I've got some very taxing questions.
Excellent. Looking forward to it.
Great. But first, Reem.
Hey.
Hiya.
Hi.
Before we get on to serious topics, can I just ask you to tell us about the BAFTA so that Pixie and
really serious topic.
Pixie and I want to live vicariously through you.
The BAFTAs were fun. They were last Sunday, so last week, and I was working with one of the sponsors, Disaronno. So I was tweeting and doing some live updates from the red carpet and the wonderful after party which they had at Grosvenor House, which was a lot of fun. I got to wear a really nice dress and I felt very girly.
You got a bit of a makeover.
Yes. Well,
where was the dress from?
The dress is Red Valentino from my wardrobe, which was,
lush.
it was borrowed, and I had to give it back, but they were so kind, and I really didn't want to give it back. So hopefully this is a hint as to maybe.
Let her keep the dress. Yeah, she's all sweated in it and everything. Yeah. You don't want that back. It's done. Done deal, my love.
Thanks, Cherry. No, the BAFTAs were wonderful. George Clooney was like this much away from me. And Bradley Cooper, surprisingly, just didn't let the snow and rain and wind affect him. He was around speaking to everyone.
He's so dreamy.
Oh, he's amazing. And the next day was the Elle Style Awards, where apparently he was still very hospitable to all of his loving fans.
He sounds like a bit of an attention seeker. Is he lovely?
Very.
Okay. Did you go to the Elle Style Awards? Were you too knackered from the BAFTAs? I mean, the BAFTAs too exhausted.
Yeah, too much for a Sunday.
Oh, well, thank you for letting us live your dream.
Thanks for following.
So, on to your fashion maths challenge. So, Pixie is very much on trend, monochrome, black and white is the colour. Although, you need a bit of white, but, we'll let you rock that. But basically black and white. I am
teeth are white.
Not, it's so white and beautiful. I'm not in any way.
You're on the print trend,
I'm on the kind of migraine dress. This is like actually 15 years ago when I was 16. So nearly.
You wear it well, love.
Yeah, I'm just going with it. What do you think the difficulties are with monochrome and a bump?
I don't think it's so much monochrome. I think it's more the striped trend, because stripes are everywhere and we will be seeing them a lot more next season for spring, but it's you know, it's a really cool trend. It's hard to wear if you've got big boobs or if you're pregnant.
Yeah.
So
I'm not pregnant, by the way. She pointed to my stomach.
I know,
I'm
well,
not.
you will be in like 15 minutes.
We've got a surprise later.
So if you were to like layer things and accessorize, you know, people who are pregnant, I feel, are stuck in a pregnancy rut and will only buy from very boring places, and they can actually wear on-trend pieces from regular stores or even work in their own wardrobe.
Tent.
An on-trend tent.
Pixie, are you a fan of maternity clothes?
Yeah, pants that go up to here.
I love them.
Elastic.
So comfortable. Do you know, I just always think, something stretchy.
That's
Some
fun
bit of
anyway,
spandex.
even if you're not pregnant.
Sorry. Yeah, that's fun anyway. Any day of the week. Does mean you can eat an extra sausage.
Exactly. Baggy tops, the
Yeah,
best thing.
and it doesn't matter. Well, so Reem, back to our mainline subject.
Mm-hmm.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
You're 25 and you are forging a career in fashion and journalism currently. Pray tell, where do babies sit in that? Is that something you've thought about?
Yes, of course. Like when I was 21, I was like, oh, definitely when I'm 25, I'll be married and I'll have like a kid. And the closer I get to like that route, that, you know, getting married and, you know, the traditional route, I'm like, I don't want to have children. Not now anyway. I adore children. Absolutely love them. Babies are the cutest things in the world. And I'm always like Instagramming mini shoes.
Biggest butt coming up of all time.
But seriously, they're like an absolute handful. And I was only babysitting last night. And I was like, okay, bye now. You can just go back to your mum. I had enough. And I realized absolutely not for me, not right now.
Have you thought about the issue of, you know, as you get older, it gets harder to have children, or it really doesn't worry you right now?
No, of course it does. Like my mum had me at 21, and she is a fabulous young mum. She's only 49, and I'm 25.
She's only 8 years older than I am.
3 kids.
Can I leave?
So I always thought I'm gonna have, you know, I'm gonna be like my mum and have kids at a young age. But I mean, I think it's different. It's a different time. She didn't have a career. She didn't have a job. She was a housewife, got married, had children, did the wife thing. But yes, I've always thought about it. But to be honest, I think if you're stable in life and you're at a place where you can bring up another person in this world, then it doesn't really matter what age you are. Biologically, yes, I assume there are some things to think about.
We will be coming on to that, definitely, because
yeah.
that's the big issue.
Mm-hmm.
But for you, finding Mr. Right.
Yes, well, luckily he's found.
Oh, great. That was a message to him. I said it very tentatively. Okay, well, so for you right now, putting your career in place, bit of financial security,
Definitely.
sorting that out, and then
Yeah,
babies.
100%.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, if you've got any questions for Reem about pregnancy fashion dilemmas, please tweet us at hashtag Cherry. I'll stop doing that. It's a bit annoying. Cherry Plus. Next, I'm going to be telling you the headlines. What are we talking about today? What are we trying to get our head around? It's kind of the difficulty of knowing how to manage your life. You want the career, you want the right guy, you want the babies. Where do they all sit in your life? When is the best time to do all of those things? The tradition is that women educate themselves, higher education, start their career off, then have babies. More and more that's happening. Women are having babies later and later once their careers are established. Do we just buck the trend and stop juggling work and babies and driving ourselves into ground? Do we just scrap that and all start having babies at 20? Would that just be a lot easier? Would be younger, have more energy, and then when our kids are at school, do we then have our career? Kind of makes sense. Tricky for many reasons, which we'll talk about later. Do we freeze our eggs? Has had some mixed reviews when I've said that. At the age of 20, when we are ripe biologically to have children, is that when we freeze our eggs for later? And we're going to be talking a bit about that later. That's a very controversial subject, obviously. So with us to tell us a little bit more about women's bodies.
Doing it the wrong way.
Doing it wrong. Now, Pixie, it's not a nice question to ask.
How old are you?
How old are you?
41.
41. And I know you
And a half.
have a daughter.
Yes.
And how old is she?
9 months.
So it's really new.
Do the maths. I
Yeah,
was very
do
old.
the math.
Yeah.
So how has that been? And
Great.
what was your decision process to get there?
My sort of life, my permanent equilibrium is chaos. I don't plan. I never plan beyond 7 o'clock in the day. And I certainly at no point even worked out when I was 20 that I might want to have children by the time I was 25, 35, 45, 55. It just didn't enter into my head. I'm not a planner. I obviously understood that the older I got, the less likely it was, but it was more about me, I guess, being in the right place with the right person rather than just deciding I had to have a baby to fulfill a biological need.
Because as a doctor, you must be very aware of, I hate this term, but egg degradation.
Yeah.
Sounds so cold, but you know, you're extremely aware of when that's happening.
35.
Did that worry you?
I mean, I was miles beyond 35, so I was at the stage where I thought, well, you know, I've gone over the atomic bomb of obstetricians will tell you 35, everything starts to go wrong. Yeah, it did worry me. It really worried me. But then I think I went into pregnancy. I was very fit. I was very healthy. In my head, everywhere, I was fine. I just, you know, I had to just accept it and go through it. And thankfully, I came out the other side with a baby.
With beautiful baby.
Yeah.
What's she called?
She's called Darcy.
Darcy, lovely. What are the issues with having children later on?
There are loads of issues. I mean, first of all, your ability to get pregnant once you go over the age of 35 diminishes. That's the first thing. The second thing is, and I think it's one thing that probably many women don't think about, is pregnancy is harder the older you are. You've got more complications, more likely to get high blood pressure, preeclampsia, diabetes.
Did you have any of those?
No, I didn't have any. I mean, I cycled up until I was 7 months pregnant.
So you can increase your chances of having a good pregnancy later on by maintaining your health?
I think absolutely, but definitely statistically, you are more likely to have. So you have a baby versus me having a baby in the next year, then I'm much more likely to have all the complications in terms of while the baby's inside.
Yeah.
Then you've got to think of delivery. You're much more likely to have multiple pregnancies, so you're much more likely to have twins. You're much more likely to have an early premature birth. You're much more likely to have a cesarean section. And then when the baby comes out, your baby's much more likely to have complications. So at every stage, there is a problem, from getting pregnant to doing the pregnancy to producing the baby. And then there's the whole thing of you're much older, so getting up in the middle of the night isn't much of a laugh.
Yeah, it's not that fun now. Would
No.
you like to get up every 3 hours, Reem?
No, thanks.
Every 3 hours.
I sleep like 6 hours, and I just don't see how a baby fits into my life.
Yeah, well, it never does. But it is good. I don't want it, it is the best. It's lovely,
I can
lovely.
imagine.
But it does come with a few obstacles, definitely.
Hard work.
Looking back at your life, would you have done it differently?
Not at all. No way. I couldn't have done it differently. Actually, I didn't have any choice, really. It just happened, it happened the way it happened. I didn't plan. I didn't consciously plan. I'm not yes, I have a career. I like to call it a job, actually, rather than a career. I don't think I'm a career woman. And the reason I didn't have children until I was 39, 40, was because of my career. It wasn't. It was because I didn't have an offer. I didn't have
no sperm.
Didn't
have any sperm.
I needed someone to spawn with, and I didn't have anyone. So there you go.
That is a tricky stopping point.
Whatever about your life plans and the 10-year plan and the 20-year plan, reality is,
Yeah, things don't always happen as planned.
Would
Would you, looking at how difficult it is to juggle work and being a mum, what would you advise women, if they were going to make a plan and they had met Mr. Right, would you advise women to have babies first and then start a career, or flip
I think
it?
it's really, really difficult, and I think it depends on the type of person you are. There's no way, if I had a child at 25, I would have left it in the supermarket, or I would have not fed it. I wouldn't have thought about it.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the person you are. Some people are really mature at 22 or 23. You seem like you're very mature. I don't think I became an adult until I was probably 37 or 38.
Yeah.
And there's debate as to whether I am yet an adult. So I think it's different for everyone. People are You know, some people are sensible, practical, you know, and plan. And I think if you're someone like me who isn't a planner, then it would be a disaster.
My final question to you is about freezing eggs. So, in a way, it's the perfect solution. When you're 20, you spend £5,000 freezing your eggs, which means that you can decide carefree, without the anxiety of the biological clock, when to have your babies. Is that the perfect solution?
I don't think it's the perfect solution. Also, you know, you've got to remember, if you've got something in your freezer, it's better to take it out of the freezer 6 months after you've put it into the freezer than decide to take it out when you're 35 or 40, because it's not going to be as roadworthy 20 years down the line. It wouldn't have been for me. I would never have contemplated it. Never, ever, ever. It would never have entered into my head. I think it's an option, but I think, you know, having a baby as well isn't a lifestyle choice. Having a baby is a life choice, and it's not just about right now deciding, okay, I want to freeze my eggs, have a baby when I'm 30. It's not just about when you're 30. It's about the next 18 years as well, when this child, because anyone who has children will tell you, well, I do this all the time. I look and I go, is that baby still here? That baby's still here.
You are never leaving.
Yeah. You know, it's a long
process.
Yes.
Okay, so freezing eggs, thumbs down.
Wouldn't be for me.
Yeah.
But then for probably loads of people watching this, they'd be going, having a baby when you're old at 40 wouldn't be for them.
Yeah, I think it's quite a controversial subject. I've definitely had some interesting feedback from that. Thank you so much. We're going to talk to you a bit later. If you've got any questions for Pixie, please tweet us at #Cherry Plus, and we'll answer them a bit later. Next up, we're going to be talking to the lovely Emma and Humphrey, who are down there. They are. Hello, Emma. Hello, Humphrey. Turn your volume up. Come on.
Hi.
Oh, brilliant. Loud and proud. Now, Emma and Humphrey, you have a beautiful daughter called Olivia. She is 2. And you have twins.
Yeah, here they are.
Is it Sophie or Sophia?
Sophie.
Sophie and Isabel. Which one is Sophie? That is Sophie. Oh, sweet. And then the other one's Isabel.
Yeah.
Lovely. So I met Humphrey and Emma about 2 years ago when I was making a program about breastfeeding, and I kind of talked to Emma lots about her issues with that. They're back on screen now. Emma and Humphrey decided to have a child very, very young. Can you tell me when you had your first child, how old were you, and what was the decision process to have that?
Well, I was 20, Humphrey was 22. A lot of it came down to my dad being quite ill, and we wanted him to meet his grandchild. But I'd also been told that I had polycystic ovaries and that it was going to take us a while to get pregnant. That wasn't the case. It was quite quick. But it worked out really well for us, and I think it was the right time for us especially. It didn't feel like we were having kids really young, but I don't know, our situation was slightly different to most people who were 22 and 20, so...
Did you, this is a personal question, obviously. Did you feel like you were going to be with each other forever? Did you feel like your relationship was stable, or did you have children with each other because, Humphrey, you can answer this one.
Yeah, definitely. I was wanting to propose to Emma, but obviously at that time I wasn't financially stable enough to, go through with it. Like it would have been nice to have got married first, I think. But that didn't happen. But it doesn't matter. Hopefully in the future. She thought I was going to propose this year, but
he didn't.
Oh, do you know what, Humphrey and Emma? You've got your hands full, yeah? Just one thing at a time. So, can you tell me about your status when you had your first child, when you had Olivia? Were you working? Were you in education? At what point in your education and career were you?
Well, I had just had to leave university to become a carer for my dad. So I was working, unpaid work, but I was caring for my dad. Humphrey.
I was at Goldsmiths doing media, and then I left out of my own choice. It wasn't to do with having a kid, but it's just I didn't enjoy it. But yeah, I guess my status would have been I was a student.
So neither of you were in employment, paid employment, and you both hadn't set your career on its path. So it was obviously a huge decision to have children at that point. Did it feel like a huge decision, or did it just feel like an easy one?
It was a big decision, but there were a lot of things that were pointing us towards having children at that point. You know, we knew our finances were good enough to have a child. And I think, you know, for all the reasons that we had a child, everything was just right at that point for us. And I think it's worked out really well for us now as well. You know, Humphrey's career is doing really well despite having children. Yeah. So, and I love being a housewife and a mum. So really, career, you know, hasn't been affected at all for either of us.
Yeah. And how do you see the future going from now? Now you've got 3 children. Emma, what about, are you going to stay at home and look after them? Are you going to go into education? Humphrey, what about you? How have you found, I'll start with Emma actually, sorry. Emma, yeah, what are your plans for the next 10 years?
Well, I love writing, so, yeah, I love writing, and I'd like to have a job where I can work from home, and I am aiming, well, I am steering towards that at the moment, and I also want to get into property development, and that's another thing I can do from home. So I will be going back to work, you know, in the next couple of years, but thankfully I will be able to work from home, so having children, again, isn't going to be a problem for me.
Is that Olivia?
Yes, she's wanting a drink.
Hello, Olivia. Emma,
yeah.
If you hadn't had the situation where your dad was very unwell and you'd had to, and you wanted him to meet your first child, and you hadn't been told by the doctor that you had polycystic ovaries, do you think that you would have had children anyway, or was it a decision based on that?
I think we maybe would have waited another year. I think before we knew my dad was ill, we'd already spoken about having children and possibly trying to get pregnant in my last year of university, so that as soon as university was finished, we had a child and then could take a couple of years before starting work. So we kind of thought that would work out well in the time frame. So it was definitely in the very close future, but probably not quite when we started. But within a year or two anyway. It was quite planned.
Yeah, it's really fun.
We're always going to have kids, because I come from a really big family and I love children. We're always surrounded by children, so I think it was always eventually going to happen.
Have either of you faced any kind of social comments from society about being young parents? Do you ever feel that what you've done is very unusual?
I think it is. Well, I don't think it's unusual. I think in this society you either have young parents or old parents. It seems to be that there's a divide at the moment. But I definitely have had comments. I think I look a lot younger than I am as well, so I don't think that's worked in my favour. I think a lot of people assume when you're a young parent that you're having children for benefits, and I think that's an awful thing to assume. I think mine and Humphrey's financial situation is very different to people our age who have children. I mean, if, you know, we have our own house, which is great. If we didn't, I don't think we would have decided to have children as young, because I do think you need to have your own finances, and I think that's why a lot of people look down on young mums, because they think, well, they're not going to be providing for their children themselves. So I have had snide comments with people kind of making comments, but then once I explain our situation, you know, those comments go away. But for other young mums who aren't in our situation, I think it must be hard for them having people particularly looking down on them and wondering why they had kids, especially with the twins we have had. Oh, were they a surprise? Were they planned? They were, but you know, we're always going to get those comments, I think.
Yeah, interesting. Do you think the growing trend to have children much later on, increasingly, in mid-30s, late 30s, now that you've experienced what it's like to be a parent in your early 20s, do you think that really women should just start having babies as soon as they possibly can? If you meet someone who's, not the one, but good enough, should women have babies in their 20s just because it's biologically going to be easier?
No, because, well, do you want to answer this? No, I just think you need to...
Right.
Yeah.
I'm outnumbered.
Too many women. Do you want to answer this one? No, I think you need to have a child when it's right for you, or the child might have to suffer in some way. If you're not ready to have a child, I think you're going to put that... that pressure on your child, that they'll be aware that you weren't ready, and that you might go on and on about how your career failed because of your kid. I don't think that's fair. I think you need to have a child when it's right for you, and not when other people tell you it's right. For the sake of the child more than anything.
How important do you think Mr. Right is?
You can answer this one.
Mrs. Right.
No, Mr. Right. Well, I think it's very important. I think children should have a father and a mother around them, or a proper family structure around them, and they need more than one person being a main influence on their life, I think. And I think if your relationship with your partner isn't strong enough, again, you may brush that off on your children. They may, they might not know what a proper relationship's like because they don't have that good influence on them.
And Humphrey, being a young dad, I mean, I've never really I've hardly ever meet dads in their early 20s. What kind of reaction do you get from your colleagues, from your friends, for being a dad of 3 at 22?
Everyone's always really surprised. They don't expect it, and I think people expect that if you're a dad, you're like boring, or like, I don't know, you're not fun anymore. But like, if I go to the office, I'm still fun. I'm still.
Great, of course you're fun.
But yeah, everyone's just always shocked and surprised.
Oh, oh no, Humphrey and Emma have gone. We broke them. We broke their family. Well, actually, moving on. They may come back. They may come back with a vengeance, and they are here. Hello, Humphrey. Sorry, we cut you off mid-sentence in your moment in the spotlight.
I've lost it now. Sorry.
So you've had a really positive reaction.
Yeah, definitely. And then I always have a beard as well, so I think it makes me look older.
So is that advice to other young fathers? Get a stick-on beard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting, Pixie, that Reem has had comments about being a young mum. It almost seems that people think that she's irresponsible, whereas for Humphrey, people think he's kind of cool.
I can't really see whether he looks young or old, but I think it's, I can't see. I'm
pretty
really
young,
old,
actually.
so I can't see very well.
He looks young.
They raised a really interesting comment there when she said, "Oh, we have our own house and everything like that." I don't know where it was.
Do you think that financial stability is really important?
I think it is important, but I think it's not. It's not the entire picture. I think they look like they've got a great relationship. They seem to be totally sorted and miles ahead of where I was when I was their age. My goodness,
They are. I mean, you guys are really happy, aren't you? I mean, together, and I think that clearly makes a big difference for you. You support each other through the early mornings, late nights.
Yeah. Oh God, it's like 3 hours on, 3 hours off. Sorry, no, every 3 hours they're like sleeping and then feeding.
Oh my goodness. Well,
but
guys,
she gets a line in the morning. So.
He gets a line after me. I don't know what he's talking about.
That's not fair. Guys, thank you so much. We might come back to you later if people have got questions. If you've got questions for Emma and Humphrey again, #Cherry Plus, please feel free to ask them anything. Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you in a second, maybe.
Thanks.
Cool. Thanks.
Bye.
And now we have the voice of the people, Jennifer Howze from BritMums. You can follow her at BritMums or at Jennifer Howze. Jennifer, is this a big media hype? Are women really talking about this? Is this something that women are concerned about? Or are women just kind of getting on with it and actually doing fine?
Hi, Cherry.
Hello.
Just a quick correction. People can follow me at @jhowze, not my full
Sorry,
name.
everyone. J Howze.
J Howze. Well, at BritMums, we're a collective of almost 5,000 bloggers. And as a result, we have bloggers who are my age who are grandmothers. We have bloggers who are my age who have just become mothers. And I am a slightly older person. I'm not going to tell you how old. But I think it really is an individual choice. And I think for a lot of women, if they express an opinion about it, it tends to come from that personal picture. They say, oh, I was very tired. If I had to do it again, I would have my kids younger. Or they'd say, I found it really hard to get onto a career or find a world outside of the home life, and I wish I'd started my career and then had kids. So, either they like the way they did it or they have subtle changes they would make as a result of their own personal story. But I think, excuse me, that often what's bad about this conversation sometimes is not necessarily women judging other women. I think that doesn't really happen so much. It's that this attitude of, when are you doing it wrong? So either that's a message internalized for me as a mother of whatever age, oh, I haven't done it at the right time, or it becomes a conversation only about the women's choice, and thinking of it also as choice, this one thing you control every other factor, like your finances and your career and meeting someone and where you live. All those things play into it, but we tend to only talk about what the woman is doing and not what the man is doing, if indeed, there typically is an actual man in the picture rather than a kind of source of sperm. And we don't
source of sperm.
Yes, indeed. And we don't when we talk about when should women have babies, is there an ideal time? I'm speaking outside of the health picture. We're not asking, what about business? What is business doing to help it? Or as society, there are all kinds of factors that come into it. And this idea of choice is a powerful one, but it's only one of those elements.
Do you think that business, it's interesting you mentioned business helping mums to juggle being a mum and keeping a career. Do you think more businesses should have in-house creches? How could they support women more?
Well, I think as a society, our government ought to think more about childcare. Even, first of all, it's so expensive that even middle-class families often find it makes more sense for one of them to stay home than to pay for childcare. So that becomes a huge decision on the when. I think, you think about school. When school ends at 3 o'clock still. Well, nobody I know has a full-time job that ends at 3 o'clock, unless it's some kind of shift work.
Yeah, so could women collect their children and do the rest of their hours from 8 until 11? I often do that, actually. I answer a lot of my emails between 8 and 11, and I enjoy my job, so I don't open my laptop and think, oh, it's fun, but there are a few things you could change to make it easier, definitely.
Yeah, and there's not a culture of you mentioned businesses providing creches. There's not really a culture of that. There's not a culture of, that's a personal decision. That's what you, Cherry, have to work out. And as a result, that becomes a big factor in the when. And I guess, for me, I feel like there's sometimes on the negative side can be this undercurrent attitude of selfishness. Either you're selfish, the things Emma was alluding to, where you're having a baby too young and maybe you're a drain on the state, or go out and get a job, or you're having it too old and think of all the risks for the baby, and are you putting pressure on the health system because you just selfishly want a baby? And both of those are, not very profitable conversations for us to be having or approaching this issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just to wrap up, I think you're right. I think businesses need to help women, support women more, and childcare definitely needs to be cheaper. It is cripplingly expensive. And I think our perceptions of, when mums, have their babies, needs to be more compassionate and more understanding. Definitely. Thank you so much, Jennifer. And we'll come back to you definitely. If you've got any questions for Jennifer, again, tweet us at #CherryPlus. And now I think we have some Twitter questions. Imminently, some wonderful Twitter fairy is going to be bringing me an iPad any minute now. Technology. So, to begin, at Fraser Original has said, yep, married at 20, baby at 22, now for the career. So that's interesting. We wanted to have our lives back in our 30s and 40s. Most of our friends are at uni, just starting careers. #supermum. Indeed you are. So I love that, flipping it around. Had a baby at 22, 1 year into decent job. Everyone asked, what about your career? Then got opposite questions when I went back to work. That's from at NFT877. Interesting. At Chelenik, last one I'm going to read. Second last one, lying. Pregnancy with twins at 32 after 6 years and 3 IVF cycles, which is incredibly exciting. Yeah. We know how it feels to want a family so desperately. Thank you for that. And from at Inez Jonna, can't imagine having kids before the career. Have to finish studies, find good work, and then if I can afford having children, I will have them. If not, I'm prepared not to have them, even though I really want to. So that's definitely a strong for setting up your life first, well, your financial, your career life. And finally, a maternity question, Reem, maternity fashion, sorry. I love, caps lock, horizontal stripes on a bump. At 8mo, I mostly wear skinny jeans. At 8 months. At 8 months, I mostly wear skinny jeans, a tight top, long cardi, and flip-flop boots.
Wow. Flip-flop boots.
What are they? Flip-flop. Oh, do you know? Sorry, fit-flop boots. I've actually got some. I love them. I salute you. They're furry and they're bouncy and they're supposed to give you a nice toned bum.
Yeah, I've heard that.
They don't. Thank you at Great Smitten. And that leads me beautifully on to our final section, which is, of course, fashion maths. So here we go.
Okay, so I've given Cherry a two-piece look for the top. It's a shirt with a white repeated print, sticking to the monochrome trend, and she's going to layer it with a striped, horizontal striped cardigan or jumper. And how does it feel, Cherry?
It's quite tight.
Is it? Well, we didn't really predict she'd be this far along by now.
I've blossomed.
Have you?
I've just
in the last 10 seconds?
In a kind of alien type way.
Anyway, the jumper is cashmere, so it's really nice against the skin because you really want to stay away from anything that isn't natural. I assume all pregnant women just want the best for their bodies at that time. And the shirt as well is silk, so it's good quality, but these do come with a price tag. So I think the jumper is about just over £100. It's a really nice brand called Iris and Ink, and you can buy it online from the Outnet. This one is actually... Are you ready? Okay, let's see. Let's see how it looks.
Oh,
it is a bit tight.
Oh no.
God.
Look.
I do love it though.
It's so radiant.
Okay, so this is an extra small. Like I said, I didn't predict her to be this heaving. But I love how it works because it's like working the trend. You are pregnant, you're making a statement anyway, but at the same time, you don't want to not be fashionable. You don't want to not wear what you would normally wear. Wearing collars that are shown, you could even layer a nice necklace, show the sleeves, the cuffs from the shirt underneath, you know, pull up the sleeves, and again, like layer it with different colors. But I don't think it makes you look any bigger. I think it just emphasizes your cute bum.
What I like is that I can do this, and also I like that the collar almost like distracts from if there was any added width. I mean, you'd never know I was pregnant from behind, would you? Ever? I mean, I'm just doing so well. I think probably not to wear it with a 90s throwback stretchy bodycon dress.
No, maybe not. Maybe something chilled. You can even like get a nice spandex.
It's all about the spandex. A spandex
thing.
skirt or a spandex pair of leggings.
Exactly.
I
jeans, if you can fit in jeans still. Yeah. It's a very chilled out look. And again, if you're working while you're pregnant, you can wear this to the office. Wear it for mocktails after, because you won't be drinking, will you? And
I hate mocktails.
I love mocktails.
Pixie, come on.
Let's
get the honest opinion.
It's really nice. I like it. Suits you.
Do you like it?
You need to get pregnant.
Do you want to wear the bump?
No, I've done my bump wearing. Thank you very much.
Is it a bit creepy? Yes. Do you want to feel it?
No.
Go on, poke it.
No.
Go on, poke it,
No.
Pixie. Poke it, Pixie.
It's your bump.
Poke it. Oh, I love it. It's all nice. It's really emotional. Oh my God. So, back in the room. Thank you so much to everyone who's watched and joined in. Thank you to Reem for my lovely outfit. Love jumper's my favourite. It's really soft and cozy. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pixie, for your wonderful information. Thank you so much, Humphrey, Emma, and their gang. Good luck with everything. Thank you also to the wonderful Jennifer Howze from BritMums. And do carry on the conversation at #Cherry Plus. I'll be tweeting later from bed. I'll probably still have this on. See you for next time. Thank you again for joining us.
Bye.